Ugh, the showgrounds are a little too big for my liking. We've been walking around in dense crowds for 2 hours now, and I felt myself swooning 3 times. There are a lot of people, aren't there? I've almost been trodden over 3 times, trodden on 3 times too. Careful, won't you, Iris? Don't let go of my hand. We finally made it through the throngs, though, by the look of it. Here we are, underneath the public experimentation stage where the explosion happened yesterday. What's that? I can hear voices from up on the stage. Sounds like an argument. Right, I've had it with you this time. I'm warning you, I'll arrest you in a minute. Oh yeah? Go on then, Spectre, give it a shot. You ain't got no evidence, and you know it. Wait, I know those voices. You've got a cheeky little mouth on you, young lady, but a night in the cells would teach you some manners. And just try it, I dare ya. If you want that bag of chips rammed down your throat. Yoo-hoo! Gregsy, what are you doing up there? Oh! It's you! Here! You're here! Here you are! You're here! Your ladyship! How are you, your ladyship? I do hope you're well, your ladyship. Does that make her 3 times a lady? I'm not well at all. It's far too busy everywhere. I wanted to ride in a balloon, but there was a 3-hour queue. Unbelievable. I'll go and have a word for you at once, your ladyship. You'll be flying as high as a kite in no time once I pull some strings for you. Tobias Gregson, an inspector at Scotland Yard. Until recently he was suspended from duty, but it would appear he's back in action now. He's actually quite well known, appearing as he does in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. And for that reason, he can't say a word wrong to the story's author, Iris. But there are limits, surely. Or there should be. Hey, watch it, sunshine. Sorry. What gives then? Don't tell me you're on this case. Yes, I'm acting for the defense. So we're here to investigate. Dear me, that's the situation, is it? Is it really that troubling? A measly 5 bob? Is that all you got? You're a lawyer, ain't ya? You can stand to carry a bit more copper around in your pockets, Mr. Nara of Doe. Bro, did you not know what happened? You got in trouble for lying in court before, and then you not hear what I got in trouble for. Technically, I don't know, what did we get in trouble for again? Did we lie? Did we? I don't know. Oh, I think we just, apparently that guy was in fact proven to be guilty. And I guess I guess that's kind of like, okay, you know what? we didn't know at the time, and I guess it's a punishable offense, you know, now that we realize, oh yeah, he totally murdered that one guy, so we got punished for that, I guess. What? Hey, that's my last bit of spending money, that is. You can have it back, but I'll have to charge you for all the bother. 3 bob. This is Gino Lestrade, a pickpocket or diver born and bred in the East End of London. In the case that led to my own suspension 6 months ago, this is the young girl I was defending in court. What's your problem, Odo? Diver? Pickpocket? What's with all the name calling? You want a bag of chips rammed down your throat and all, do ya? I thought you were proud to be a diver, Gina. You were just arguing with Inspector Gregson about it, weren't you? I assumed you've been up to your usual tricks here at the showground. That ain't no way to talk to a lady, Odo. After years, a long time. People can change. I'm an apprentice now, learning to be a Scotland Yard detective. So you'll have to call me what everyone else does. It's Inspector Lestrade. It's Inspector Lestrade. Inspector? That badge is homemade. Surely. The inspector part isn't entirely accurate. No one calls her that. For what it's worth anyway. Investigating is off the cards for all of us. What's that supposed to mean? Right, well, I'll be back up top. You hold the fort down here, alright? Right, sir. This raises a lot of questions. Damn, they had to slide it in there, huh, Inspector Lestrade? It was 8 months ago now that I first encountered Gina in connection with a case I was working on. At the time, she was living in the East End with a group of other orphans. She helped all of them survive by pickpocketing, but then she got embroiled in a murder and another murder. I had a lot of time to think in prison. I realized I couldn't go on like I was. The diving weren't working out. Oh, I'm so pleased to hear it, Ginny. Well done. So, you went from being a pickpocket to a detective? You got it. Good, innit? Inspector Lestrade. Sounds like something out of a book, eh? Talk about a sea change. And then there's Iris's old man to think about. Iris's father, you mean? Yeah, I promised her, didn't I? I said I'd get all the police forces around the world to pull out all the stops to look for him. Just a small promise then, nothing serious. Oh, Ginny, you're so sweet. So anyway, that's how I came in, and I had to go at the test for Scotland Yard. Only trouble is, I don't read so well, do I? Just a small problem, nothing serious. And that's when Hurley approached Gregsy and asked for help. So the inspector said he'd take full responsibility of Ginny and made her a sort of apprentice. That was very magnanimous. Yeah, magnanimous of Inspector Gregson. And brave. Well, you know Hurley. He enjoys finding ways to make people do what he wants. The great detective likes digging for dirt, in other words. So the long and short of it is, if you've got questions about the case, you can ask Inspector Lestrade. Right then, Inspector. Actually, there's still a big mystery surrounding Gina, isn't there? Oh, what, Bruno, what? Well, 6 months ago, Gina was the defendant in a trial prosecuted by the Reaper. A trial in which she was found not guilty, and yet here she is. Oh, come on, you're not still on about that, are you? The Legend of the Reaper, or whatever it's called. You don't have to worry, Odo. If I didn't have to worry, there probably wouldn't be a whole lot of you left. It's like I told you before, isn't it? The Reaper's kinda like, I'm upstairs, so he knows what I'm like on the inside. That I ain't really done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong? Might be stretching a point. What about Mr. Natsume in Japan? He's perfectly fine, isn't he? Well, that's true. Perhaps the Reaper is more discerning than I thought. Exactly, so I ain't worried. I'm totally fine. It was out of this world, it was. The brainy bloke pulled a bunch of levers on his machine and suddenly it started billowing smoke. Then it just went pop. I ain't seen a better experiment here yet. Sorry? You mean you saw it, Ginny, with your own eyes? Yeah, of course. The boss is in charge here, ain't he? Of keeping everything running smooth, I mean? The boss being Inspector Gregson, I suppose. That's going to take some time, some getting used to. So all I have to say is that I'm on duty and I can do whatever I want to. Get this, I was up in one of them flying balloons when it happened, watching it from above. No. Oh, you're so lucky, Ginny. Maybe I should join Scotland Yard too. Yeah, do it. You know how to put the boss in his place already, right, Iris? You'd have no trouble at all. Then it's settled. When do I start? No. You can't join Scotland Yard. Scotland Yard, Iris. I will see. Anyway, what I don't understand is this. If the machine exploded so spectacularly, how can Professor Bunnybrain still be claiming that his experiment was a success? Oh, right. Well, it was a success, in a way. It was. How could it have been? Surely, after the whole machine blew up, no one could call the experiment a success. It's like I said, it did sort of work. I mean, yeah, there was a load of smoke and that whopping great bang. But where do you think they found the victim's body? In the crystal tower over there. What? In the tower? You can see for yourself, can't you? Up there above the scaffold? Oh, where all the glass is broken, you mean? Yeah, the cage what the victim got in to start with really did get beamed through the air or whatever and landed all the way over there. So you see, it did kind of work, didn't it? Are we sure it didn't just explode and like flew the poor guy to the tower and then he died on impact or something? What? I don't believe it. I mean, I don't get the ins and outs of it, but anything's possible, right? With science. Oh, I tell you what, you can have this. It's a plan. It's a plan of the experiment they drew up at the yard. Are you sure? Yeah, go on. I had 3 bob off you before, so fair's fair. Yeah, I didn't actually give that to you, did I? Oh, you can't like move it around. Something Inspector Gregson said before seemed a little strange. For what it's worth anyway, investigating's off the cards for all of us. Yeah, naughty old Gregson ran off after that without explaining himself. Alright, that. The boss said no one's allowed to investigate that weird machine what blew up yesterday. Well, that's not fair. We're representing the defendant. In that case, could you at least tell us what you've learned from your investigations? Nah, you're not getting it. We ain't allowed to investigate neither. Why? What did the boss call them again? The Forensic Investigation Team, I think. Anyway, apart from them lot, no one's allowed to lay a finger on the scene. Bit funny, innit? So even Scotland Yard's own detectives can't investigate? Yes, I've never heard something like that before. I thought I could have a gander on the quiet, though, but the boss caught me at it. You probably heard him giving me an earful about it before from down here, didn't you? It's not bleeding fair. I think you were giving him as much as an earful back as I remember it. Yeah, well, sometimes I think it's all them chips what make him so stubborn. You say something to him, you say something to him, Odo. Go on, see if you can get through to him. He's up on the platform above us, is he? Where that machine exploded is? We can try, can't we? Gregsy will listen to us. Oh, you can pan up to... What the heck is this? Oh, it looks as though somebody dropped something behind the tree just there. Dropped or hid? The hell? It's a crossbow? What's this? Some sort of machine that some part of the machine that exploded? Maybe. Could have fallen from the platform above in the blast, perhaps? What's going on here? Oh, nothing? I think I'll hang on to this just in case. I think it's a crossbow. Maybe they didn't have crossbows? When was... It looks like it literally looks like a crossbow. Does this not scream crossbow? Oh, there's some sort of lever here. What is this? It looks like a cross between a bow and a gun. I think it's probably used for the same thing, too. She didn't have anything to say about it. Girl, you could have totally helped with something. Okay, well, I guess we did that. The Crystal Tower. It's certainly an apt name. It was built to be the focal point of the exhibition, and it definitely is, being so tall and with all that glass. I can't imagine a building like this ever being erected in Japan. There are lots of exhibits inside the tower as well, apparently. Of course, there's an observation deck, there's also an art gallery, a zoo, and a museum. But I heard you have to queue for 3 hours just to get through the doors. Well, at the moment, the shattered glass from the failed experiment may well be the biggest draw. And thanks to that accident, the whole tower is shut. Suddenly, it's not the Crystal Tower anymore, but the Crystal Glass Tower. Apparently, everyone's taking to the skies now to look down on the disaster area from above instead. But there's a 3-hour queue to go up in a balloon now. Londoners must be very patient people. Oh look, what's this? A ripped piece of cloth? It's not like any fabric I've seen before. Very thick and stiff. It looks extremely durable. It's canvas, I think, with some sort of rubber backing, and the edges appear to be a bit charred as well. Maybe that means it has something to do with the explosion. Let's make a note of it while Ginny's mid-yawn. That's where the cove ended up after his instant kinesis, or whatever they call it. Dead, of course. And yet they're calling the experiment a success? What's the wooden scaffold there for? The coppers. Our lads set that up after the incident happened. To get the body down, I think. I don't know, actually. Or really. Didn't you help them erect the scaffold, then? Nah, lookout duty's more my thing. Wandering around the exhibition and keeping a lookout for the free stuff. Mind Greg, he doesn't hear you saying that, or he'll give you the boot. It's incredible, though, isn't it? I mean, could the victim really have bridged that gap by some sort of invisible kinesis? This platform must have been set up for the experiment, I suppose. It's very high up. About 30 feet above the ground, apparently. That's what a policeman I just spoke to said. I don't really understand feet very well. We don't use them in Japan. Oh yeah, sorry. It's about 9 meters. But soon you'll have been in London a year, Bruno. It's time you got used to our measurements. Yeah, well, this thing is so tall that spectators at the front would just have seen a wall and nothing else. They probably thought they'd secure the best spot to watch from, only to be disappointed. There's a saying in Japan, the darkest spot is right under the lighthouse. I feel like it probably applies here. These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. Oh, that's it, is it? The machine that blew up? Oh, it must have been a magnificent explosion, and I've seen my fair share. You've seen things like this before, you mean? Of course, Hurley's always doing experiments that end in a bang. In fact, in his own words, explosions are the very essence of chemistry. Oh, that might explain the smell of burning that frequently comes wafting up the stairs. One time, he made something that exploded with such force it took the roof off the building. I wish you'd been there to see it. Hard to get too excited about that, given that I now live in the roof. Well, anyway, that's enough about that. Time to investigate. Even though technically we can't. Oh look, it's Inspector Gregson over there. He seems to be deep in thought about something, whilst eyeing up the machine carefully. Really? He just looks confused to me. It ripped itself apart magnificently, didn't it? Magnificently and mercilessly. So someone stands in the middle of the machine to be disassembled and then beamed through the air? Yes, beamed. Not blasted. That's the point. Yeah, that part's crucial, really. Is something like that even possible, though, Iris? Oh, Bruno, I'm just a child. How should I know? A child when it suits you, you mean? From what I can tell, I think if you were to pull this lever here— Stop! Don't touch that. Aha! That was practically instantaneous kinesis the way you flew over there. You flew over just now, Gregsy. Please, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you, but I can't let you touch anything up here. So sorry. You can have some of my latest special blend to make up for it. Wonderful. This stuff really is wonderful. It's just like old times, this is. We're representing Professor Hairbrain in court tomorrow, Inspector. So we should be allowed to examine the scene. Huh, listen, Sunshine, even I'm not allowed to touch anything up here. It's that blasted Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act to blame. It's driving me potty. Oh yes, that special dispensation. The professor mentioned that too. More red tape's all we need. I don't know what the government thinks it's playing at sometimes. But we're allowed to just look, aren't we? Huh? Surely that's alright, isn't it, Greg Z? Of course, your ladyship. Anything you say, your ladyship, but please don't get your dainty hands dirty, will you? Don't worry. We wouldn't dream of touching anything, would we, Bruno? She really knows how to get what she wants. Using high voltage electricity to somehow disassemble a man's body and then beam him across the crystal tower? It's an extraordinary thing to attempt, especially in public. True, it was by far the most unusual of the experiments planned for the exhibition, mind. To be honest, I'm a bit surprised it was allowed. Carrying out something so dangerous with so many spectators present, I mean. The government's doing everything it can to promote new science and technology at the moment. They're more worried about being ahead of the game than the odd spot of public safety infringements. If they can't be the first to develop some new technology, it makes Britain more powerful. If they can. I was like, wait a second, that don't make no sense. If they can be the first to develop some new technology, it makes Great Britain, or Britain, not Great Britain, more powerful in the future, you see. Yeah, I suppose that's true in a way. So the powers that are placing a heavy emphasis on scientists' rights at the moment. What sort of rights? They're making it so that any theories the brains have remain their legal property, as it were. Right through developing it into a practical idea and even going into production. Which is the infuriating reason us coppers aren't allowed to touch this crime scene. Because the new high voltage special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act forbids it. Oh, I see now. The only people with permission to investigate here are from some brand new department at the yard. The Forensic Investigation Team, it's called. We've been relegated to keeping guard. The Forensic Investigation Team? Any fool who can see that this heap of scrap metal was a sham to begin with, but just because it says scientific equipment on the paperwork, we can't do a flaming thing with it. Poor Gregsy. He's very het up, isn't he? Remind me again, what's the new legal act that means we're not allowed to touch the scene here? Are you having at me, Sunshine? It's the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. Yes, I think Hurley mentioned that recently, with a real twinkle in his eyes, I remember. I'm sure he did, your ladyship, I'm sure he did. Passed especially for this great exhibition it was. All scientists have to do is present their ideas or inventions to some suits in the civil service, and if it gets rubber stamped, that's a guarantee of rights to maintain the invention's confidentiality. What does that really mean? Think about it. Think of all the world-changing new inventions on display every day at this exhibition. Although a good half of them are a load of cobblers, if you ask me, put forward by shammers like yourself. Thanks for that. Oh, I love how absurd some of the inventions here are. It's also fun. It might be fun for you, but not a member of a member of the force has to be present at every single demonstration. Can you imagine? Hang science, that's what I say. Oh, I don't think so. That sounds like my dream job. You'd soon think otherwise after spending a day guarding all these shammers' bogus contraptions. But if they're all bogus, how can anyone hope to demonstrate them? There'd be no point. Yeah, well, there is a point, sadly. Sorry? Thanks to another of our government's bright ideas. If any theory or invention is deemed to show potential, the government hands out a research grant. The scientists get funding? Exactly. And that's what they're all after. All these shammers come in from far and wide to clog up Hyde Park. And who has been keeping them all safe, eh? Who has to smile politely and welcome them? Us coppers, that's who. So you can see why I say it now, can't you? Hang science. Hang it. Oh, maybe I can see your point. Apparently, Professor Harebrain lives and works in Germany now conducting his research. That's right, came back to Britain especially for the great exhibition as I understand it. Probably after one of the government's research grants. Actually, we learned something else about the professor earlier today, about his time in further education. Turns out he was at university with someone we both know, Lord Van Zykes. Eh? What's that? That's news to me. But if Van Zykes mans the prosecution, then as the accused, the professor's fate is sealed because the Reaper will get him one way or another. Blimey, that man's beyond me. I don't know what goes on in that head of his. Talking of Van Zykes, this morning's paper ran the story of him being attacked. Read that? Oh yes, but Mr. Reaper is completely fine. Nothing to worry about. Yeah, right. Glad to hear it. Still, the Reaper, huh? How long's that business gonna keep up, I wonder? The victim of this case, the investor, Mr. Osman, he was another of the Reaper's victims, or so I heard. Lord Barack Van Zykes is a top-class prosecutor, but even he can't always push the right verdict through. Sometimes justice can't win. Yeah, I've heard about jurors being bribed and evidence being falsified. And that's how the notion of the Reaper of the Bailey came about, isn't it? Obviously, Scotland Yard suspected Van Zykes initially. We all assumed he was taking matters into his own hands if he failed to seal the deal in court. Although the man himself denies that charge. Well, we've done a very thorough investigation, and the conclusion we reached is that Lord Van Zykes is in no way related to the deaths of those people outside the courtroom. There's no question in my mind. I'd stake my reputation on it, I would. But if that's true, then how do you explain it? All those defendants couldn't just have coincidentally died if nobody killed them. I know that, but I can't explain it. It's a mystery after all, isn't it? That's the whole point of the Reaper. Professor Harebrain mentioned something else. He said that at university, Lord Van Zykes was a totally different person, easygoing and kind. You what? He said it was after they both graduated that something happened to change the man. Do you have any idea what it was? No clue. Really? Look, I've got my hands full watching over this frustrating crime scene. Why don't you go and make nuisances of yourself elsewhere, eh? Considering how badly damaged everything is, Professor Harebrain was lucky to escape unscathed, I'd say. We should have a good look around the machine while we can, I think. Touch anything, and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung up myself, you hear? I wouldn't touch a thing, I promise, so please spare the thought of your digestion. Anyway, do you really think this machine could actually disassemble people like the professor claims? He asked, looking totally incredulous. Give it a rest, sunshine. If we were allowed to examine all this bleeding scrap metal, maybe we could answer that question. But we can't, can we? Because of the annoying rules, you mean? Exactly, the annoying, obstructive, flaming rules. Oh, look at the base of the machine there. Oh yes, there's a tool of some kind poking through the wire mesh. It's a screwdriver, I think. Oh, isn't it a lovely one? The handle is in the shape of a capital letter A. It is? Oh yeah, you're right. What's the matter with you? Don't touch anything, I said. Touch anything and I'll make sure I kill you before I get strung up myself, I said. Yes, I understand. Sorry. I only touched it a teeny weeny bit. But Gregsy, I'm very curious about the screwdriver. Really, very, very curious. Of course, your ladyship, you're so clever, your ladyship. Fancy spotting something like this. But I'm afraid I can't let you have it. But Bruno found it first. I assure you I'll investigate it thoroughly. He's gone off with it. That was very mean. I'm afraid Inspector Gregson is going to make a very clumsy and embarrassing mistake in the next month's installment now. Poor Gregsy. Right. Are you done here, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Isn't it about time you were leaving? Or rather, it is about time you were leaving. That lot are here now. That lot? The forensic investigation team. They'll be giving me the heave-ho in a minute, too. Oh dear. Poor Gregsy. Here, have another cup of my special blend to cheer you up. That hit the spot. Yep, hits it every time. Well, at least I've seen the scene with my own eyes. Looks like this is as far as we're going to get with our investigations here, at least. I've been thinking. Hurley might know something, mightn't he? About what? About Mr. Reaper. About what happened to Lord Van Zykes, you mean? Because it sounds like something very significant occurred after he graduated from university. Something that completely changed his life. Maybe, but I have no idea where to find Mr. Sholmes at the moment. He's in the middle of some big case, isn't he? Here, this is what you need. What's this? Some kind of entrance ticket? Madame Tussbells? Is this supposed to mean something? Is this supposed to mean something to me? You don't know it? It's the most popular attraction in London at the moment. It's very close to Baker Street, actually. We could go now if you like. No. Why? Well, we don't have time to be visiting attractions today, Iris. We have a big trial tomorrow. But that's where Hurley is. What? At this popular London attraction? Yeah. How is it that you know where he is? Hurley told me, but he told me to keep it a secret from you. Madame Tussbells? I don't see how it could be related to the case we're investigating here, but then stranger things have happened, and when they happen, Mr. Sholmes is usually at the heart of them.